I'd like to start with a limerick. And everyone pauses nervously, wondering what he's going to say next. It's a limerick from Torah. Pharaoh dreams of cows and of wheat, fat, lean, sickly, and sweet. His advisors all fail, but Joseph, in jail, interprets. He's back on his feet. That is a limerick from Rabbi Joe Black. And in this week's Torah portion, dreams and their interpretations play a central role not only in the story of Joseph, but in the unfolding story of the Israelites. You may recall that while Joseph is being held in jail, Pharaoh has two dreams that include aquatic cows and herbivorous ears of corn. Pharaoh is troubled by these dreams, and when a courtier tells him that his Hebrew prisoner Joseph has interpreted his dreams, Pharaoh, desperate for understanding, sends for him. So Joseph appears before Pharaoh, who relates the content of his dreams. Immediately, Joseph understands the dreams and offers this interpretation. The dreams predict 7 years of prosperity, followed by 7 years of famine. Pharaoh takes Joseph's prediction, his interpretation, to heart. He sees that Joseph is an incredibly capable young man. And so Pharaoh puts his signet ring on Joseph's finger and appoints him as the ruler of Egypt. I have two brief and admittedly somewhat unrelated observations about this story that I'd like to share with you. The first observation is related to government. Based on Joseph's interpretation that 7 years of great abundance would be followed by 7 years of great famine, Pharaoh invested him with the authority to completely reorganize the Egyptian economy. As a result, not only did Egypt have adequate food in reserve to comfortably wait out the famine, they were able to sell their surplus to their neighbors. This is quite a feat, particularly when one considers that this was done for what was probably in excess of 1 million people, using the technology available in the ancient world. Let's put it another way. Thanks to Joseph's vision and leadership, Egypt was able to identify a massive existential crisis and then to organize a society-level response to avert the crisis. Does this remind you of anything? Perhaps we would have benefited from having Joseph in Washington this year. The second observation is about dreams. Psychiatrist and Judaic scholar Milton Kramer wrote an article in 2018 in which he examines biblical dreams and the Jewish tradition of understanding dreams and their interpretation. Kramer notes that Torah contains only 10 dreams. And get this, all of them are in Genesis. Pharaoh's dreams of cows and ears of corn are in fact the final dreams included in Torah. The Talmud, which is a massive compendium of Jewish tradition and law, has quite a bit to say about dreams. Rabbi Hista teaches, a dream which is not interpreted is like a letter which is not read. So, in other words, dreams should be considered for what they mean rather than simply at face value. Kramer describes the ancients as well as the rabbis of Talmud as interpreting dreams to be indicators of future events. Kramer, who you will recall is a psychiatrist, contrasts this outlook on dreams with the classical psychological theorist Sigmund Freud. Freud sees dreams as the state in which people process material from their unconscious minds. In Freud's view, dreams play out in a symbolic language that represents aspects of the dreamer's growth and development. In other words, according to Kramer, Jewish tradition views dreams as predictors of the future, while most modern psychological theories view dreams as a commentary on the dreamer's past. Pharaoh's dreams and Joseph's interpretation of them as a sign of impending abundance and famine clearly fit this paradigm. It is therefore a dream predicting the future. So what are we to make of this? What about us? How are dreams meaningful to us today? To consider this question, I suggest that we broaden our definition of dreams beyond the dramas we enact in our sleep, and instead, let us consider the aspirational hopes that we hold dear. When I was a kid, I watched Carl Sagan's television series Cosmos. Does anybody remember that? It's a great show. And I dreamed of becoming a cosmologist. Well, the sad reality of mathematics got in the way of bringing that dream, that hope to fruition for me. But I believe that the feelings of excitement when I considered the vastness of creation, whenever I looked up at the sky, created an imprint on my soul. When, many years later, I began to seriously read Torah and later the works of the rabbis, this excitement, first inspired by Carl Sagan of blessed memory, was reawakened. For me, the cosmos could be found in Torah. It was the realization of my childhood dream, even though this realization took a different form than I ever could have imagined. Hopes and dreams can figure in our Jewish lives as well. The Zionist enterprise, beginning with the first stirrings of strength that were brought about by the Jewish emancipation in Europe in the 18th century, inspired the vision of a Jewish nation living in a Jewish land. It took great effort and many generations, but this hope, this dream, was brought to reality. It was a dream of a Jewish future. Perhaps we can feel a sense of this dream in the English words of the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, the hope. As long as within our hearts the Jewish soul sings, as long as forward to the east, to Zion looks the eye, our hope is not yet lost. It is 2,000 years old to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. The story of Joseph, the dreamer and interpreter of dreams, gives us the opportunity to consider our own dreams, to break through the challenges and disappointments of the past in order to envision a future where we can be our best or at least more fully realized selves. And as Joseph shows us, the implications of our dreams can ultimately bring us closer to the fulfillment of the promises made to Abraham, Isaac, and to Jacob, closer to the lives that God envisions for each of us. Shabbat Shalom.